Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in this video, we'll be talking about Saturn in the 7th house. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Just a quick disclaimer that we want to understand that Saturn is a highly karmic planet. So Saturn tends to give us obstacles and delays earlier in life. But Saturn will also return back to its position around the age of 30 and will reach maturity at the age of 36. So this is typically when we see Saturn releasing some of those karmic holds and giving us a sense of confidence and mastery in these areas where Saturn is positioned. You also want to see, are there any planets aspecting or in conjunction with Saturn? Along with this, you want to see the sign that Saturn is placed in. Is this a sign that Saturn feels comfortable in or not? You want to check to see, is Saturn in its home sign of Capricorn or Aquarius or exalted in Libra, or if it is in debilitation in Aries. This will make a huge difference. You also want to see which houses of the chart are ruled by Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn will impact these houses as well. And along with this, Saturn will become extremely active during your Saturn Mahadasha. So if you have not already seen my video on Saturn Mahadasha Bhuktis, make sure to check that out. I will leave a link above and down below. So what is Saturn? Well, as I've said, Saturn is a highly karmic planet that is bringing back to us our past life karmas. It is all about sorting out those karmas and gaining a sense of mastery and completion in the area where Saturn is placed. So Saturn tends to give us a lot of delays and obstacles. Saturn is all about limitation, restriction. It is a planet of fear, of depression. It is a planet that is related to the areas in life where we feel a sense of restriction and detachment. Saturn also, though, is a planet that gives us long-lasting results. It is here to teach us the lessons of reality. And so Saturn is all about patience, discipline, and hard work, which leads to long-lasting results. So Saturn is a blessing in disguise. It gives us the most challenging of karmas, but also gives us a great deal of stability and mastery in the end. Saturn is also related to the underprivileged. It is all about justice. It is all about ethics. Saturn is about the people. So it is behind the scenes, working for the people, helping the people. It is all about service to humanity. So what is the 7th house? Well, the 7th house is the home of Libra and the original zodiac. It is all about transactions. And so the 7th house is about partnership, negotiation. This includes business partnerships and marriage. This is all about agreements, all about making compromises, all about coming to a place of understanding. Libra also is related to business. So the 7th house is all about business partnerships, the marketplace, popularity. It is dealing with the public at large. The 7th house is also about long distance journeys and any kind of trading, imports, exports. This house, once again, is all about equal exchange, about creating that balance. And so Saturn feels incredibly strong here in this 7th house because Saturn is exalted in Libra. Saturn is all about creating a sense of order, of balance, of justice. Once again, it is about discipline, about this patience, about this sense of order and structure. So Saturn feels the strongest in Libra in its exaltation. And this is why Saturn in this 7th house is in Digbala or directional strength. So this is an extremely powerful position for Saturn. This 7th house is the west direction where the sun sets, where the sun is losing its strength. So as Saturn is the enemy of the sun, it is gaining strength here in this 7th house. So this is going to have a major effect on you as Saturn is in its full strength here in this 7th house. Along with this is going to have a huge effect on your personality as it is in one of the main Kendra houses of the chart. So those Kendra houses are the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. which are the strongest houses within the natal chart. They have the most impact on our life and personality. As Saturn sits in this seventh house, it is going to cause a lot of difficulties around relationships. Once again, this seventh house is about how we relate to others, how we deal with the public, how we are creating balance within our relationships. And so Saturn, being a planet of fear, of restriction, of obstacles and delays, is going to create a lot of challenges in this area. This may be a position where you are someone who is more on the shy side, where you have a feeling of distance and detachment in your connections with others. There is a sense of pulling back or not fully trusting in your relationships. Saturn in the seventh house can create a lot of delays around getting involved into relationships. There tends to be a tendency to overanalyze and to be a perfectionist in this area, seeking something very specific in your relationships. And again, you want to check to see how Saturn is positioned. This will play out differently if it is placed strongly or if it is in a more challenging position. Along with this, if Saturn is retrograde, then this can actually give you a marriage that is on time where there are less of these obstacles. This can create spontaneous relationships with Saturn in retrograde. So you want to check the position of Saturn here. It will play out differently according to how your chart is set up. But mostly this Saturn in the seventh house is creating a lot of fears around relationships. You are not fully trusting others. You are not fully trusting that other people will be dependable, will be reliable in relationships. There is a fear of loss in this area. Along with that, because the seventh house is about the public and how you are relating to other people outside of yourself, there also tends to be a lot of criticism and judgment coming from others. And this is something that you can feel from a very early age. And because of this, you can have a tendency to self-criticize, as Saturn will aspect directly onto your first house of self from this seventh house position. So there is a tendency to criticize yourself, to shy away from connections, as you can feel the heaviness of this criticism coming from other people. With Saturn here in the seventh house, it is really important to build up your sense of self-confidence and esteem, because this is a position where you will be challenged through your connections with other people. Once again, receiving a lot of criticism, a lot of judgment from others. So you don't want to take this to your heart and to allow this to close down your personality. This is typically a placement where your self-confidence, your self-esteem will slowly build, especially as you get towards 30 and 36, where Saturn becomes stronger in your chart. Saturn here in this seventh house can give you a strong desire for partnership, but you seek to have a very mature partner, a partner who is secure, who is experienced. This becomes very important to you as you are seeking a sense of security. Once again, there is often a feeling of a fear of loss in this area around relationships. So it is important to you that you are getting a secure partner. And so with this placement, you tend to attract partners who are older in age or who are more mature than you. Along with this, relationships become very serious with Saturn here in this seventh house. This becomes less about the honeymoon phase of a relationship and more about the responsibilities and obligations that are here within this relationship. So you can get a spouse who is very professional, who is very responsible, and this becomes a huge theme of your relationship. You have a lot of karmic obligations of being very responsible and very much hardworking in this area of relationships. As Saturn aspects onto your ninth house, you can have some difficulties in your relationship with your father. So there can be a loss of a father, distance with a father, or a difference in opinions with your father. This can create some distance and detachment and conflicts in this area. And this can also extend to teachers and spiritual gurus, counselors, those who are trying to give you guidance. There is a misunderstanding in this area. area. This can challenge you in terms of your education, especially higher education, where there can be some confusion around what courses you should be taking, or you can find that there is a lot of conflict in your success or your ability to get along with your teachers. So this becomes a very challenging position in terms of your education in general. And as Saturn aspects onto this ninth house, it can get you very much interested in foreign cultures, foreign philosophy, foreign travel. This can be a position where you want to discover a philosophy that is outside of your culture. And so this becomes a lifelong journey of continuing to learn and discover the philosophy that is right for you. Saturn's aspect onto the fourth house can also give you a great deal of conflict in your relationship with your mother as well. So for some of you, there can be a loss of a mother, distance in your relationship with your mother, or disagreements in this area. But Saturn's aspect onto the fourth house also gives you a great desire to want to work to improve upon this area of your life. So there tends to be a strong attachment to your past, to your family, to your traditions that you grew up with. There's a strong attachment in this area, which tends to help you to improve your relationship with your mother with time. You can have all sorts of conflicts and difficulties within your home environment. This also tends to disturb your overall inner peace and happiness. But again, once again, this is going to improve with time. This Saturn energy is all about this slow growth and improvement. Because the seventh house is the house of business, it is a position where you can strive for success in your business life. This can make you someone who is very disciplined, very hardworking. Again, specifically if you have this placed well in your chart. If Saturn is in a more challenging position, then there may be some laziness or procrastination due to fear. But this is an area where you tend to grow even if there are challenges. This Saturn can help you in terms of your growth in your profession and your overall success. Overall, you tend to get the fulfillment of a partner in this area. Saturn will bring this to you, but there also can be challenges within your relationship if you have Saturn in a more challenging position. You can have all sorts of difficulties, and you can have difficulties also along the lines of divorce, where it can be very challenging for you to actually go through with divorce or to get the results of that. There is some sort of delay in the legal part of this area of your life. So Saturn poses some real challenges in this area of marriage and relationships. This becomes all about your responsibility, your obligation around your partner. And Saturn's aspecting onto your first house. This is going to affect your overall mindset in the way that you approach life. So Saturn does tend to give a very slow start in life from this seventh house. This is all about, again, building up your sense of confidence and self-esteem. This becomes very important. And so there tends to be a very slow and cautious approach towards life. With Saturn here in this seventh house, you can be risk averse, someone who is very cautious about all of your actions, very careful about everything that you are doing. On some level, this position of Saturn in the seventh can give you a fear as if you are always being watched or judged by others. And so this makes you very careful in every action that you are taking. Although you may receive criticism from an early age, Saturn in this seventh house also can give you a prominent position in society. You can become someone who is loved and admired by others as you continue to mature. And this can also happen as a result of you getting over these fears of criticism and judgment. With Saturn here in this seventh house, there can be a fear around any situation where you are being seen or having to present to others. This typically is a position where doing anything involved in theater, performance, politics, anything where you are on stage and expressing yourself to others, this tends to help you to overcome the fears of this placement.